regulations. All right, y'all. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Happy Tuesday. It is. First, before I do that, it is January. Nope. It's not. It's February the 1st. Y'all, it is February the 1st, 2022. We are on day number 19 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. Another 4-year consecutive day count, day 1037. Today, we're going to be reading tablet 3 in the lost book of Enki. And then we're going to read chapter 20 in my big toe. I think it's chapter. No, I'm sorry. No, we're going to finish reading chapter 19 because we stopped halfway through. Chapter 19, other half. All right, beautiful people. Let's go ahead and get started. So let's do the Shema real quick. Hit the Linda Brown, shalom. Levant, blessings. Audrey, shalom, shalom. All right, y'all, let me get this up over here. Deuteronomy, chapter 6. A call for wholehearted commitment. Shayla, hey girl, hey, peace and blessings. Joy, shalom, shalom. All right. These are the commands, decrees, and regulations that the Lord your God commanded me to teach you. You must obey them in the land you are about to enter and occupy, and you and your children and grandchildren must fear the Lord your God as long as you live. If you obey all his decrees and commands, you will enjoy a long life. Listen closely, Israel, and be careful to obey. Then all will go well with you, and you will have many children in the land flowing with milk and honey, just as the Lord, the God of your ancestors, promised you. Listen, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord alone. And you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your strength. And you must commit yourselves wholeheartedly to these commands that I'm giving you today. Repeat them again and again to your children. Talk about them when you're at home and when you're on the road, when you're going to bed and when you're getting up. Tie them to your hands and wear them on your forehead as reminders. Write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. The Lord your God will soon bring you into the land he swore to give to you when he made a vow to your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It is a land with large, prosperous cities that you did not build. The houses will be richly stocked with goods that you did not produce. You will draw water from cisterns that you did not dig, and you will eat from vineyards and olive trees you did not plant. When you have eaten your fill in this land, be careful not to forget the Lord who rescued you from slavery in the land of Egypt. You must fear the Lord your God and serve him. When you take an oath, you must only use his name. You must not worship any other gods of the neighboring nations, for the Lord your God who lives among you is a jealous God. His anger will flare up against you, and he will wipe you from the face of the earth. You must not test the Lord your God as you did when you complained at Massa. You must diligently obey the commands of the Lord your God, all the laws and decrees he has given you. Do what is right and good in the Lord's sight, so all will go well with you. Then you will enter and occupy the good land that the Lord swore to give to your ancestors. You will drive out all the enemies living in the land, just as the Lord said you would. In the future, your children will ask you, what is the meaning of these laws, decrees, and regulations that the Lord our God commanded us to obey? Then you must tell them, we were Pharaoh's slaves in Egypt, but the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a strong hand. The Lord did miraculous signs and wonders before our eyes, dealing terrifying blows against Egypt, Pharaoh, and all his people. He brought us out of Egypt so he could give us this land he had sworn to give to our ancestors. And the Lord our God commanded us to obey all these decrees and to fear him, so that he can continue to bless us and preserve our lives as he has done to this day. For we will be counted as righteous when we obey all the commands the Lord our God has given unto us. Trina betwabu betwabu. Mom, shalom, shalom. Yahuwah is one. Great Spirit, bless us and guide us in this world. Hallelujah. All right, y'all. Third tablet, the Lost Book of Enki. Synopsis of the third tablet. Alalu beams the news to Nibiru, reclaims the kingship. Anu, astounded, puts the issue before the royal council. Enlil, Anu's foremost son, suggests on-site verification. Remember, he just found the gold, right? Remember, Genesis talk about the land of Hivilah, where the gold is found. That's what it says in the Bible. Canonized Genesis. In the land of Hivilah, where the gold is found, it was talking about the four rivers that went to the four corners, right? That went in four directions. And this is what Enlil is suggesting, that they're doing on-site verification, that there is gold found there on Earth, right? Ki Muntu Kikuyu Star 87 CME. Okay. Enlil, Anu's foremost son, suggests on-site verification. Ea, which is spelled Ea, I think it's Ea. Ea, Anu's firstborn and son-in-law of Alalu, is chosen instead. Ea ingeniously equips the celestial boat for the journey. The spaceship, piloted by Anzu, carries 50 heroes. Overcoming perils, the Nuberians thrill by Earth's sight. Guided by Alalu, they splash down and wade ashore. Eridu, home away from home, is established in 7 days. Extraction of gold from the waters begins. Though the quantity is minuscule, Nibiru demands delivery. Abgal, a pilot, chooses Alalu's spaceship for the trip. Forbidden nuclear weapons are discovered in the spaceship. Ea and Abgal remove the weapons of terror and hide them. Okay, so right here there's a picture, and it says, in the picture is like Earth, it's a Earth Mars connection, and in parentheses it has 2500 BC depiction. So if y'all don't have the book, I'm gonna show you the picture, and I'll let you make sure it's clear. So if you want to screenshot it so you can look at it later. Okay, I think that's clear. Go ahead, get a screenshot if you want to, so you can look at it later. Maybe go look at some hieroglyphs. Got it? Okay, I'm about to move it to YouTube so they can see. Okay. I think that's clear. Can y'all see it? Okay. So screenshot it if you want it. I've seen similar hieroglyphs. Okay. All right. The third tablet. The fate of Nibiru is in my hands. To my conditions, you must give heed. Those were the words of Alalu, the dark-hued earth. To Nibiru, they were, by the speaker, beamed. When the words of Alalu to Anu, the king, were conveyed, Anu astounded were the counselors, amazed were the sages. So remember how the sentences read backwards based on how they translated them. Okay. Alalu is not dead, they asked each other. Could indeed he on another world be living? They with disbelief were saying. Was he not on the Nibiru hiding in the chariot to a place of concealment gone? The commanders of the chariots were summoned. Savants the beam words considered. The words from Nibiru did not come. From beyond the hammered bracelet were they spoken. This was their finding. This to Anu, the king, they reported. Stunned was Anu, the happening he pondered. Let the words of acknowledgement to Alalu be sent to the assembled, he was saying. At the place of the celestial chariots, the command was given. To Alalu, the words were spoken. Anu, the king, to you his greetings sends. Of your well-being to learn he is pleased. For your departing from Nibiru, there was no reason. Enmity is not in Anu's heart. If gold for salvation you have indeed discovered, let Nibiru be saved. The words of Anu, Alalu's chariot did reach. Alalu them quickly answered, if your savior I am to be, your lives to save. Convene the princes to assembly, my ancestry declare supreme. Let the commanders make me their leader, bow to my command. Let the council pronounce me king on the throne Anu to replace. When the words of Alalu on Nibiru were heard, great was the consternation. How could Anu be deposed? The counselors asked each other. What if Alalu, mischief, not truth, is telling? Where is his asylum? Did gold indeed he find? They summoned the sages of the wise and learned counseling. They asked. The oldest of them spoke. I was Alalu's master, he was saying. He had hearkened to the teachings of the beginning of the celestial battle he was learning. Of the watery monster Tiamat and her golden veins he knowledge acquired. If indeed beyond the hammer bracelet he had journeyed, on earth, the seventh planet is his asylum. In the assembly, a prince spoke up. A son of Anu he was, of the womb of Antu, Antu's spouse, he was the issue. Enlil was his name, Lord of the command it meant. Word of caution he was saying. Of conditions, Alalu cannot speak. Calamities were his handiwork. By single combat in wrestling, he the throne fortified. If Tiamat's gold he indeed had found, proof of that is needed. Is it for protecting our atmosphere sufficient? How through the hammer bracelet to Nibiru can it be brought? The hammer bracelet reminds me of what we would not, could be wrong, but I'm just saying when they talk about it, it puts me in the mind of the Van Allen belt, right? That's what it puts me in the mind of. I'm not gonna say that is it. I'm just saying it puts me in the mind of it. Hezekiah, shalom, shalom. Okay. If Tiamat's gold he indeed had found, proof of that is needed. Is it for protecting our atmosphere sufficient? How through the hammer bracelet to Nibiru can it be brought? Thus did Enlil, the son of Anu, speak. Others many questions also asked. Much proof was greatly needed. Many answers are required. All agreed. The words of the assembly to Alalu were conveyed. A response demanded. Alalu, the words Merit pondered. To transmit his secrets, he agreed. Of his journey and its perils, in truth, he can, I'm sorry, of his journey and its perils, in truth, he an account gave. Of the tester, its crystal innards he removed. From the sampler, its crystal heart he took out. Into the speaker, he the crystals inserted, all the findings to transmit. Now that proof has been delivered, declare me king. Bow to my command, he sternly demanded. The sages were aghast. With weapons of terror, Alalu on Nibiru more havoc caused. With weapons of terror, a path through the bracelet he blasted. Once in its circuit, Nibiru, that region passes, calamities Alalu is amassing. In the council, there was much consternation. The kingship to alter was indeed a grave matter. Anu, not by ancestry alone, was king. By fair wrestling, the throne he attained. In the assembly of the princes, a son of Anu stood up to speak. He was wise in all matters. Among the sages, renowned he was. Of the secrets of water, he was a master. Ea, whose Ea, he whose home is water, he was called. Of Anu, he was the firstborn. To Damkina, Alalu's daughter, he was his spouse. My father by birth is Anu, the king, Ea was saying. Alalu by marriage, my father is. To bring the two clans into unison was my espousal's intention. Let me be the one let me be the one in this conflict unity to bring. Let me a news emissary to Alalu be. Let me be the one Alalu's discoveries to uphold. Let me in a chariot to earth journey, a path through the bracelet with water, not fire, I shall fashion. On earth, from the waters, let me the precious gold obtain. To Nibiru back it will be sent. Let Alalu be the king on earth, a verdict of the sages awaiting. If Nibiru it will save, let there be a second wrestling. Who shall Nibiru rule? Let it determine. Let me read that again. If Nibiru it will save, let there be a second wrestling. Who shall Nibiru rule? Let it determine. The princes, the counselors, the sages, the commanders heard Ea's words with wonder. Full of wisdom they were, for conflict they solution found. Let it so be, Anu announced. Let Ea journey, let the goal be tested. Alalu a second time, I shall then wrestle. Let the winner be on Nibiru, king. The words of decision to Alalu were conveyed. He pondered them and agreed. Let Ea, my son, by marriage to earth come. Let gold from the waters be obtained. Let it for salvation on Nibiru be tested. Let a second wrestling kingship by me or Anu settle. So let it be. Anu in the assembly decreed. This puts me in the mind with Jacob wrestling with the angel, right? They're literally talking about wrestling. Linda, morning. But also up here, remember how you hear, well, not here. Hold on, let me look up something real quick before I say this. Tiffany, Alalu, spell Allah, yeah. It's possible, Tiffany. But keep in mind what you're saying now. Hold on. Y'all trying to figure stuff out or y'all been reading ahead. Hold on. Let me look at something real quick. Okay. Okay, so in first and not First Corinthians, Second Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 4, it says, Satan, who is the God of this world, right? And of course, it goes on to say, has blinded the minds of those who don't believe. They are unable to see the glorious light of the good news. And it goes on, right? But when I read through this, as I'm reading through, and I start thinking about the book of Enoch and specific things that they mention in the New Testament, even some stuff in the Old Testament, and I think about a lot of different people that I listen to, not necessarily listen to like I'm learning from them, but I'm listening to what they're saying just to see if they have like any missing pieces of the puzzle, right? So if y'all are familiar with that term, Satan, who is the God of this world, right? You ever hear people say that and then I would say I can't necessarily, I've heard some Hebrew Israelites, or okay, so the how do I term them? I've heard a few different people say, well, they say, well, Jesus is Satan. Or then they start talking about what they say Yahweh, the God of the Bible. I mean, the God of the Old Testament is actually Satan, the God of this world. So I'd be listening to little things. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? So now I'm beginning to understand their mind from, even though they didn't necessarily explain it clear, it's possible that they've just been repeating or regurgitating something they read, but they don't really understand what's going on, right? I just kind of want to just drop that, put in the forefront real quick. I'm not going to expound on it too much yet. I just want to bring it up just in case it didn't come to mind while we was reading a few portions of this just now. But I just kind of wanted to bring it up, right? Okay. Remember that. Tiffany, remember that. Okay. Okay, so Tiffany over here, let me see if I can. Tiffany put this cancel. Oh, can I copy that? Oh, if I hit it wrong, it's gonna block it. my finger trying to get it. I'm trying to copy what you just put. Tiffany put over here, she put Alalu spelled, she got Alalu, then SPN parentheses equals Allah, and then parentheses Yah, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. Hold that thought. I think all of that is close, but it's good that your mind is kind of thinking about that based on everything we've learned up until this point. Script, everything. Keep all of that, right? Put it on the table for now. Just put it on the table. Okay. Put it on the table, y'all. Let me be the one in this conflict to you. I'm sorry. Let me be the one in this conflict unity to bring. Let me and news emissary to Alalu be. Let me be the one Alalu's discoveries to uphold. Let me in a chariot to earth journey, a pathway through the bracelet with water, not fire, I shall fashion. On earth, from the waters, let me the precious gold obtain. To Nibiru back it will be sent. Let Alalu be king on earth, a verdict of the sages awaiting. If Nibiru it will save, let there be a second wrestling. Who shall Nibiru rule to let it? I'm sorry. Who shall Nibiru rule? Let it determine. The princes, the counselors, the sages, the commanders heard Ea's words with wonder. Full of wisdom they were, for conflict they solution found. Let it be so, Anu announced. Let Ea journey, let the gold be tested. Alalu a second time, I shall then wrestle. Let the winner be on Nibiru, king. The words of decision to Alalu were conveyed. He pondered them and agreed. Let Ea, my son, by marriage to earth come. Let gold from the waters be obtained. Let it for salvation on the Nibiru be tested. Let a second wrestling kingship by me or Anu settle. So be it. Anu in the assembly Anu in the assembly decreed. Enlil rose in objection. The king's word unalterable was. Ea to the place of the chariots went. Commanders and sages he consulted. The mission's dangers he contemplated. How to extract and bring the gold he considered. Alalu's transmission he carefully studied. Alalu for more testings, the results he requested. A tablet of destinies for the mission he was fashioning. If water be the force, where could it be replenished? Where on the chariot will it be stored? How to force will it be converted? A full circuit of Nibiru did pass in contemplations. A shar of Nibiru in preparations passed. The largest celestial chariot for the mission has been fitted. Its circuit's destiny has been calculated. A tablet of destiny has been firmly fixed. 50 heroes will for the mission be required to journey to earth, the gold to obtain. To the journey, Anu his approval gave. The stargazers for the journey, the right time to begin, then selected. At the place of the chariots, multitudes gathered to bid farewell to the heroes, and their leader did they come, bearing eagles' helmets, carrying each a fish's suit. The heroes, the chariot, one by one, entered. The last to embark was Ea. To the gathering he bade farewell. Before his father Anu he knelt down, the king's blessing to receive. My son, the firstborn, a far journey you have undertaken for us to be in danger. I'm sorry, for us all to be in danger. Let your success, calamity from the Biru banish. Go and in safety come back. So did Anu to his son speak a blessing, bidding him farewell. The mother of Ea, the one called Ninul, to her heart embraced him. Why, after by Anu a son to me you were given, did he with a restless heart you endow? Go and come back, the hazardous road traverse safely, to him she said. With tenderness, Ea kissed his spouse, Damkina, he without words embraced. Enlil with his half brother locked arms, be blessed, be successful. To him he said, with a heavy heart, Ea, the chariot entered to soar up the command he gave. And it goes into a next part. Each part that's separated by sections where it begins, translated another part of the story. It's like this. It's like this double-edged sword. That's placed right in there. It lets you know it's a separation. Okay. Now this is the account of the journey to the seventh planet and how the legend of the fish god who came from the waters was begun. Everybody's familiar with the fish god, right? If you look at hieroglyphs, or even if you watch a Discovery Channel, you will see hieroglyphs and they'll talk about a fish god. Okay, I thought that was pretty interesting, right? To have seen that in my day, but read an older translation of something back in the day, I'm like, clearly y'all had access to the tablets that we're reading now. Okay. Now, this is the account of the journey to the seventh planet and how the legend of the fish god who came from the waters was begun. With heavy heart, Ea the chariot entered to soar up the command he gave. The commander's seat by Anzu, not Ea, was occupied. Anzu, not Ea, was the chariot's commander. He who knows the heavens, his name's meaning was. For the task, he was especially selected. Let me read that again. The commander's seat by Anzu, not by Ea, was occupied. Anzu, not Ea, was the chariot's commander. He who knows the heavens, his name's meaning was. For the task, he was especially selected. The prince among the princes he was, of royal seed, his ancestry he counted. The celestial chariot he deftly guided, from Nibiru it powerfully soared. Toward the distant sun it directed. 10 leagues, 100 leagues the chariot was coursing, 1,000 leagues the chariot was journeying. Little Gaga came out to greet them, a welcome to the heroes it was extending. To blue hued and to the beautiful enchantress it showed the way. By her sight, Anzu was attracted. Let us examine her waters, Anzu was saying. Ea, to continue without stopping, gave the word. It is a planet of no return, he forcefully said. Toward the heavenly An, the third in planetary counts, the chariot continued. On his side was An Lane, his host of moons about him were whirling. The tester's beams, the presence of water was revealing. A stop if needed to Ea, it was indicating. To continue the journey was Ea saying, toward Anshar, the heaven's foremost prince, he was directing. Soon the ensnaring pull of Anshar they could tell, his colored rings with fear they admired. Deftly did Anzu, the chariot guide, the crushing dangers he cleverly avoided. The giant Kishar, foremost of firm planets, was next to be encountered. Her net's pull was overpowering. With great skill did Anzu the chariot's course divert. With fury, Kishar at the chariot divine lightnings was thrusting. Her host at the uninvited she directed. Slowly, Kishar moved away for the chariot, the next enemy to encounter. So they actually have people and planets named after some of these same people. So if we're going through and it seems like, well, wait a minute, I thought there was a person. How is that a place? Remember, it's the same. Just think about Israel here today, not like the people, the place Israel, or it doesn't matter, any place. I just use it because it's a good example. Because the place was named after a people. And a lot of times it is a place and it is a people. So just keep that in mind when you see this. Like, wait a minute, I thought there was a planet they mentioned. Now you're saying it's a person. Yes, they have their own planet named after them, just like their places named after groups of people or a person. So just keep that in mind. All right. Deftly did Anzu, the chariot guide, the crushing dangers he cleverly avoided. The giant Kishar, foremost of firm planets, was next to be encountered. Her net's pull was overpowering. With great skill did Anzu the chariot's course divert. With fury, Kishar at the chariot, divine lightnings was thrusting. Her host at the uninvited she directed. Slowly Kishar moved away for the chariot the enemy to encounter. Beyond the fifth planet, the hammered bracelet was lurking. Ea, his handiwork to set a whirring, commanded the water thruster to prepare. Toward the host of turning boulders, the chariot was rushing, each one like a slingshot's stone, ferociously at the chariot aim. The word by Ea was given, with the force of 1,000 heroes, the stream of water was thrust. One by one, the boulders turned face, a path for the chariot they were making. But as one boulder fled, another in its stead was attacking. A multitude beyond count was their number, a host for the splitting of Tiamat, revenge seeking. Again and again, Ea the commands gave, the water thruster to keep a like whirring. I'm probably saying it wrong, but it's whirring. Just in case you don't know what I'm saying, is WHIRRING. ing, like the engine is whirring. Y'all get it. Again and again, Ea the commands gave, the water thruster to keep a whirring. Again and again, toward the host of boulders, streams of water were directed. Again and again, the boulders, their faces turned, a path for the chariot making. And, and then, at last, the path was clear. Unharmed, the chariot could continue. A cry of joy the heroes sounded. Double was the joy as the sight of the sun was now unveiled. Amidst the elation, Anzu the alarm sounded. For the path to have fashion, excessive waters were consumed. Waters to feed the chariot's fiery stones for the remaining journey were not sufficient. In the dark deepness, the sixth planet they could see, the sun's rays it was reflecting. There was water on Lamu, Ea was saying. Can you bring the chariot down upon it? Anzu was asking. Deftly, Anzu the chariot toward Lamu directed, reaching the celestial god. Around it, he, the chariot, made circle. The planet's net is not great. Its pull is easy to handle, Anzu was saying. A sight to behold was Lamu. Many hued it was. Snow white was its cap. Snow white were its sandals. Reddish hue was its middle. In its midst, lakes and rivers were a glitter. Deftly, Anzu the chariot made travel slower. By a lakeside, it gently came down. Ea and Anzu, their eagles' helmets donned, to the firm ground they stepped down. On command, the heroes, that which water suck extended, the chariot's bowels with the lake's water to fill. While the chariot was getting its fill of waters, Ea and Anzu, the whereabouts examined. With tester and sampler, all that matters they ascertained. The waters were good for drinking, the air was insufficient. All was in the chariot's annals recorded, the need for the detour described. With its vigor, replenished the chariot, soared up to benevolent Lamu, farewell bidding. Beyond the seventh planet was making beyond the seventh planet was making its circuit. Earth and its companion, the chariot, were inviting. In the commander's seat, Anzu was without words. Ea too was silent. Ahead was their destination, its goal, Nibiru's fate for salvation or doom containing. The chariot must be slowed, or in earth's thick atmosphere it shall perish, Anzu to Ea declared. Around earth's companion, the moon make slowing circles, Ea to him suggested. They circled the moon. By the vanquishing Nibiru in the celestial battle, it prostrate and scarred was lying. Having the chariot thus slowed down toward the seventh planet, Anzu the chariot directed. Once, twice the earth's globe, he made the chariot circle. Ever closer to the firm land he lowered it. Snow-hued was two-thirds of the planet. Dark-hued was its middle. They could see the oceans. They could see the firm lands. For the signal beacon from Alalu they were searching. Where an ocean touched by dry land, where four rivers were swallowed by marshes, Alalu's signal was beacon. Too heavy and large the chariot is for the marshes, Anzu was declaring. The earth's pulling net too powerful for on dry land to descend it is, Anzu to Ea announced. Splash down in the ocean's waters, Ea to Anzu shouted. Around the planet, Anzu made one more circuit. The chariot with much care toward the ocean's edge he lowered. The chariot's lungs he filled with air into the waters, down it splashed, into the depths it was not sinking. From the speaker, a voice was heard. To earth be welcome, Alalu was saying. By the speaker is like a walkie-talkie, right? So he remember Alalu was able to talk to them on Nibiru with the speaker. Is the fish god connected to Pisces? Put it on the table. That's what I'm gonna say at this point. Put it on the table. We're gonna see. From the speaker, a voice was heard. To earth be welcome, Alalu was saying. By his beamed words, the direction of his whereabouts was determined. Toward the place Anzu, the chariot directed, floating as a boat, it was upon the waters moving. Soon the wide-ranging ocean narrowed, dry land on both sides, as guardian appeared. On the left side, brown-hued hills were rising. On the right, mountains to heaven, their heads raised. Toward the place of Alalu was the chariot moving, floating like a boat upon the waters it was. Ahead the dry land was covered with flooding, marshes the ocean were replacing. Anzu to heroes commands uttered, their fish suits to put on he ordered. A hatch of the chariot was then opened. Into the marshes the heroes descended. Strong ropes to the chariot they attached. With the ropes, the chariot they were pulling. So to me, this reminds me of like when we see the movies and we see astronauts going into outer space, maybe to visit Mars or something, or whatever planet the movie is showing. That would probably be representing of the astronauts putting on those astronaut suits because they're not sure of the atmosphere they're about to go in. They're not sure of if the air is breathable or not. So that's what they're doing when they put on these. Every time they go to get out of their craft, they don these fish suits and the helmet, like the astronaut's helmet, like it had. Think about the astronaut's helmet, y'all, and how it's prepared to if it goes underwater, and you gotta look at some of the trainings that they do. Astronauts can be donned in full gear underwater. So they made it waterproof, and they have that oxygen in their tanks, right? So it's kind of like the same thing. So they put on these fish suits, and they also have an eagle's head with talons. Now, how it operated on the inside to keep them with their natural atmosphere so that they can breathe, I don't know how that works, but it's something like an astronaut suit, like we've designed for the astronauts when they go into outer space. Just think about that. Okay. Toward the place of Alalu was the chariot moving, floating like a boat upon the waters it was. Top of the day, son. Oh, you early today. You ain't missing a lesson today, huh?
I don't miss the lesson because I was tired.
Oh, well, okay. All right. Ahead, the dry land was covered with flooding. Marshes the ocean were replacing. Anzu to heroes commands uttered. Their fish suits to put on he ordered. I know, right, Audrey? For some reason, it just reminded me of Sandy from SpongeBob. Yeah, every time she go down into the sea, Sandy got to wear this astronaut helmet. Yes. Are you asking something? You just tapping the table.
Wait, Sandy, astronaut helmet? What you talking
Oh, what tablet are you on? 4? We in 3, so this is a refresher for you. Listen, I'm in tablet 3. That's what we talking about. But that was like a side conversation. I was talking about the fish suits that they don when they get out of their craft and they're eagles. Was you paying attention? Was you?
I have to go through it again because when I first listen to something, I don't catch it until I
Go through it a second time. Yeah, read it slow or listen to it slow. Okay. Ahead, the dry land was covered with flooding. Marshes the ocean were replacing. Anzu to heroes commands uttered. Their fish suits to put on he ordered. A hatch of the chariot was then opened. Into the marshes the heroes descended. Strong ropes to the chariot they attached. With ropes the chariot they were pulling. Alalu's beamed words more powerful were becoming. Hurry, hurry, he was saying. At the edge of the marshes, a sight there was to behold. Gleaming in the sun rays was a chariot from Nibiru, Alalu's celestial boat it was. The heroes, their paces quickened toward Alalu's chariot, they hurried. Impatient, Ea donned his fish suit. Within his chest, his heart was beating like a drum. I'm sorry, I read that properly, but it's backwards. Let me read it again. Impatient, Ea donned his fish suit. Within his chest, his heart was like a drum beating. Into the marsh he jumped. Towards its edge, hurried steps he directed. High were the marshes flooding, deeper was the bottom than he expected. He changed his gait to swimming, with bold strokes forward he advanced. As dry land he was approaching, green meadows he could see. Then his feet touched firm ground. He stood up, and by walking, he continued. Ahead, he could see Alalu standing with his hands with vigor waving. Come out of the waters. Ashore, Ea stepped. I'm sorry, I read it wrong, like he was saying it. No. Coming out of the waters, ashore, Ea stepped. On dark hued earth, he was standing. Alalu toward him came running. His son by marriage he powerfully embraced. Welcome to a different planet, Alalu to Ea said. And this goes, it's starting another section. Now, this is the account of how Eridu on Earth was established. Y'all paying attention? Okay, so it's hopping back to Genesis now. Pay attention, y'all. Pay attention. Lisa, hey, yeah, hey. Alicia. I'm sorry, we got Alicia, and another Alicia. Okay.
This is the first civilization.
Pay attention, son. Pay attention. Now, this is the account of how Eridu on earth was established, how the count of 7 days was begun. In silence did Alalu Ea embrace. With tears of joy his eyes were filled. Before him Ea bowed his head. Respect for his father by marriage he was showing. In the marshes the heroes were advancing. More donned fish suits. More toward the dry land were rushing. Keep the chariot afloat, Anzu was commanding. In the waters, anchor it, the mud ahead avoiding. Ashore stepped the heroes. Before Alalu, they were bowing. Ashore came Anzu, the last of the chariot to depart. Before Alalu, he bowed. With him, Alalu and welcome. Before Alalu, he bowed. With him, Alalu in welcome locked arms. To all who had arrived, Alalu words of welcome spoke. To all who were assembled, Ea words of command spoke. Here on earth, I am the commander, he was saying. On a life or death mission, we have come. In our hands is Nibiru's fate. He looked about for a place for encampment. He was searching. Heap up soil, mounds fashioned there. Ea gave command, an encampment to set up. To a place not afar he was pointing, a reed hut abode by Alalu erected. To Anzu, then words he directed. To Nibiru's words by beaming deliver. To the king, my father, Anu, successful arrival announced. Soon the hue of the skies was changing. From brightness to reddish it was turning. A sight never seen before their eyes was unfolding. The sun, as a red ball on the horizon, was disappearing. Fear seized the heroes of a great calamity, afraid they were. Alalu, with words of laughter, I'm sorry, Alalu with laughter, words of comfort was saying, a setting of the sun it is, the ending of one day on earth it is marking. For a quick rest, lie down, a night on earth is beyond imagining short. Before you expect the sun, before you expect the sun will hold on. Before you expect the sun will an appearance make on earth, it will be morning. Before expecting, darkness came, the heavens from the earth it separated. Lightnings the darkness pierced, rains the thunder followed. By winds were the waters blown, storms of an alien god they were. In the chariot the heroes hunkered down, in the chariot the heroes huddled. Resting to them did not come, they were greatly agitated. With quickened hearts the sun's return they awaited. Smiling when its rays appeared, they were joyful and backslapping. That seemed, let me rephrase how I was about to say this in a more appropriate term. It's like the fear of the unknown is what they were experiencing because they didn't understand Earth's orbit just yet, right? So where they come from, the sun never set. The sun would never set on Wakanda, right? The sun never set where they were at. But when it comes into Earth's atmosphere, you got day and you got night, right? So that they definitely weren't expecting. If you remember from the other day, Alalu was a little frightened by it as well, not understanding what was about to happen, right? Okay. It's like when the sun go away from where they come from, where it's always bright, It's like it's the end of the world as we know it until the next day comes and the sun returns again. It's like, wait, oh,
Their
we
planet
ain't
is
die?
their planet is their planet is in a fixed orbit.
Yeah, their planet is in a fixed orbit. Okay. Fear seized the heroes of a great calamity, afraid they were. Olalu, with laughter, words of comfort, was saying, a setting of the sun it is, the ending of one day on earth it is marking. For a quick rest, lie down. A night on earth is beyond imagining short. Before you expect the sun will an appearance make, on earth it will be morning. Before expecting, darkness came, the heavens from the earth it separated. Lightnings the darkness pierced, rains the thunder followed. Rains the thunders followed. By winds were the waters blown, storms of an alien god they were. In the chariot the heroes hunkered down, in the chariot the heroes huddled. Resting to them did not come. They were greatly agitated. With quickened hearts, the sun's return they awaited. Smiling when its rays appeared, they were joyful and backslapping. And it was evening and it was morning, their first day on earth it was. It sound familiar? Just keep on listening. And it was evening and it was morning, their first day on earth it was. At daybreak, Ea, the ongoings considered, to separate waters from waters, heed he was giving. Engar he made of the sweet waters the master, drinking waters to provide. To the snake pond with Alalu he went, its sweet waters to consider. Evil serpents in the pond were swarming, so did Engar to Ea say. The marshlands Ea then contemplated, the abundance of rain waters he weighed. In Bilulu, hold on, yay. In Bilulu, he placed in charge of the marshlands to mark out the thicket of reeds, him he directed. Enki Enki Imdu, in charge of ditch and dike, he placed a boundary for the marshes to fashion, for the waters that from heaven rain a gathering place to make. Thus were the waters below from the waters above separated. Marsh waters from the sweet waters asunder were set. And evening And it was evening and it was morning, the second day on earth it was. Pull out Genesis chapter 1, y'all. Genesis chapter 1. Pull it out.
Purified water, what they're talking about?
No, they're catching rainwater. Well, they catching rain. They separating the waters from the waters. That's what they're doing, right? They're getting there and they're getting Earth all set up so they can begin extracting Tiamat's gold. Tiamat is another name for Earth where they've landed. Okay.
Why is it?
Pay attention closely, y'all.
Out of a movie. Homies come here to do one job. So homies get sidetracked, and now there's a whole civilization living here, and we got to deal with crap that we don't want to deal with.
Hold on. Y'all hear Jeremiah? Hey, Auntie. He said they had one job to do. They come here and get sidetracked. Now we got a whole civilization that we got to deal with down here. Look, right? I know y'all see what he's talking about here in a minute. If y'all haven't read ahead, look. Let me go back a little bit. Enki in Kimdu, in charge of ditch and dike he placed, a boundary for the marshes to fashion, for the waters that from heaven rain, a gathering place to make. Thus were the waters below from the waters above separated. Marshes from the sweet waters asunder were set. And it was evening and it was morning, the second day on earth it was. When the sun morning announced, the heroes their assigned tasks were performing. With Alalu Ea to the place of grass and trees, his steps directed. All that in the orchard grows, herbs and fruits, after their kind to examine. To Isi Mood, his vizier, Ea questions was addressing. What is this plant? What is that plant? Him he was asking. Isimud, one of much learning, food that grows well, he could distinguish. He tore a fruit for Ea, a honey plant it is. To Ea he was saying, one fruit he himself ate, one fruit Ea was eating. of food that grows by its good distinguished, Ea the hero guru put in charge. Thus were the heroes water and food provided. Satiated they were not, and it was evening and it was morning, the third day on earth it was. On the fourth day the winds ceased blowing, the chariots by waves not disturbed. Let tools from the chariots be bought, let abodes in the encampment be built. Ea thus commanded. Kula, in charge of mold and brick, Ea appointed, from the clay bricks to fashion. I'm sorry, Mashdamu, to lay foundations he directed, dwelling abodes to erect. All day the sun was shining, the great light by day it was. By eve time, Kingu, earth's moon, in fullness of pale light on earth it cast. A lesser light to rule the night among the celestial gods accounted to be. And it was evening and it was morning, the fourth day on earth it was. I believe that's lining up with what we got right. The fourth day, this because there's I clearly remember arguments about this on when do we start the day the sun and moon was brought into creation. Well, clearly they were already there, right? There's these arguments about do we start to count here or do we start it at the day of creation? I'm like, you know what? All of this is mixed up now. So I just sit back and I'm just like,
The Bible is one big hypocrite.
I wouldn't say that. Jeremiah said the Bible is one big hypocrite.
But yet,
Let
the
me
Bible is
say
a confused teenager. That's a better example right there.
He said the Bible is a confused teenager. Oh, I guess that's kind of about right. I like what he said. Remember, the Bible is the newest religious book out of all of them. Out of all of them, that was taken from other texts, right? So they just take little pieces. You see how if you're really familiar, at least if you're familiar with the book of Genesis, right? If you're familiar with the book of Genesis, with the Bible being the newest book of all the religious factions, if it was translated from the Sumerian text, right? The Sumerian text, the more ancient text, you can see where the story that's being created in the Bible. What? He not really? Joy said he is not the first to say that about the Bible. Laugh out loud. We might need to use that in our title today. The Bible is a confused teenager. That's gonna be our title today. Hold on. A part of our title. The Bible is a confused teenager. Thank you for the title for today, son. All right. But it's like, how do you put together a story now with some of this? Now remember, this is translated from the ancient Sumerian text, right, in English. Clearly, they knew how to translate it because we got some things word for word, almost verbatim, in the Holy Bible, right? Or what they canonized and gave to us. But see how you go back and you read the full story from where they pulled the pieces from, how it's almost giving you a completely different story by them strategically pulling out certain pieces and putting it together like this is it, this is a story, and you get a whole different outlook and understand on what's really going on. Keep everything on the table. The Bible, all its missing books, added books, Sumerian text, everything goes on the table so until we can figure out this big mess, so we can help this teenager get straightened out in its thinking, right? Or get straightened out in our thinking. All right, listen, let me go back up a couple sentences. By eve time, Kingu, earth's moon, in fullness, a pale light on earth it cast. A lesser light to rule the night among the celestial gods accounted to be. And it was evening and it was morning, the fourth day on earth it was. On the fifth day, Ea Ningersig, yeah. On the fifth day, Ea Ningersig, a boat of reeds to fashion, commanded the measures of the marshes to take, the stretch of the swamplands to consider. Olmash, he who what in the waters swarm knows, who of fowl that fly has understanding. Olmash as a companion Ea took between good and bad to distinguish. Kinds that in the waters swarm, kinds that in the skies give wing. To all mash, many were unknown. Think about it. The waters teeming with life, reproducing after their own kind, the fowl, the birds of the air. Think about Genesis. This is where Genesis was taken from, y'all, from the ancient Sumerian text. Listen, all mash as a companion Ea took between good and bad to distinguish, kinds that in the waters swarm, kinds that in the skies give wing. To all mash many were unknown. Bewildering was their number. Good were the carp, among the bad they were swimming. In in Belulu, the marshland's master Ea summoned. Inkim Inkim, I'm sorry, I'm gonna be screwing some of their names up too, just like I do it in the regular Bible. So forgive me ahead of time. Okay. In Belulu, the marshland's master, Ea summoned. Enki, Enkim in charge of ditch and dike, Ea summoned. To them he gave words in the marshlands to make a barrier with cane brakes and green reeds and enclosure to fashion fish from fish there separate, a trap for carp that from a net could not escape, a place whose snare no bird that is good for food could escape. Thus were fish and fowl by their good kinds separated, for the heroes provided. And it was evening and it was morning, the fifth day on earth it was. On the sixth day, Ea of the orchards creatures took account. In Nursag to the task he assigned that which creeps and that which on feet walks to distinguish. Their kinds and Nursag astounded of the ferocity of their wildness to Ea an account he gave. Ea Kula summoned to Mashdamu urgent commands he gave. By eve time, the abodes to be completed, by a fence for protection to be surrounded. The heroes to the task put their shoulders. Bricks on the foundations were quickly laid. With reeds were the roofings made. Of cut down trees was the fencing put up. Anzu, a beam that kills, from the chariot brought over. A speaker that words beams at Eel's abode he set up. By eve time, complete was the encampment. For the night therein the heroes gathered. Ea and Alalu and Anzu, the doings considered. All that was done indeed was good. And it was evening and it was morning, the sixth day. And on the seventh day, the heroes in the encampment were assembled. To them, Ea spoke these words. Let me pause up here real quick. Let me see where we at. Okay, I'm gonna finish this tablet and then we'll go into my big toe. We almost done. We got a few more pages. Okay. By eve time, complete was the encampment. For the night therein, the heroes gathered. Ea and Alalu and Anzu, the doings considered. All that was done indeed was good, right? Think about Genesis. Look back over all the 6 days so far. Everything is good, right? That's what it just said. Ea and Alalu and Anzu, the doings considered. All that was done indeed was good, right? And this would actually line up with, I think it's Jubilees. Jubilees, the first couple chapters, when it was going into details about creation. This lines more up with that. As a matter of fact, the first time I realized something was wrong with Genesis was when I read Jubilees, because I had questions about Genesis, just certain things that seemed to stick out. I'm like, this seems incomplete. I had read it so much, I was like, something is missing. Then that's a few years back, that's when I started searching, and voila, I found the Apocrypha. And I found this. I'm like, oh, so that makes Genesis seem a little more complete. Okay, that makes sense a little bit more, right? So remember, they remove all these things and they turn the Bible. This is gonna sound like blasphemy to y'all ears. It really is. I'm just warning you ahead of time. This is about to sound like blasphemy. Listen, I just want to prepare you. They take away all the pieces of what the from the original text, and they turn the Bible into a single God. right? At least the part that they want you to. But there's different, if you're paying attention, there's multiple gods all through the Bible, right? But they change the names throughout and make it one single name to make it seem like it's the working of one. Adaya Shalom, Shalom, right? Keep that in mind though. With all the stuff that we're bringing out, the authorized, the unauthorized, all of these things, you got to look at all of it, right? It's going to make you feel some type of way. It should. We should understand and know what we believe. We shouldn't be believing stuff blindly, right? We're gonna be all discombobulated for a little bit till we work out these missing pieces of the puzzle, so we can get a better picture, so we can reassess what we believe and why we believe it, and if it is belief worthy, right? I'm just saying, don't count me out as a heretic. I'm doing my due diligence. I'm working out my own soul salvation. Apparently, y'all want to because y'all still here for the ride. So there's okay. Just keep going.
I'm just thinking. You know what them old churchgoers says they heard this.
Oh, I would have been banished. I would have been banished.
Yeah.
After they probably tried to hold me down on the altar and douse me with anointing or trying to cast the devil out of me. When they see that didn't work, look. When they see that didn't work, just stay away from her. Give her up to Satan completely. Don't nobody talk to her. I'm just like, y'all, really? I'm just asking y'all to pay attention to this. Nobody has questions. Shut up. You can't ask questions in my church. I'm the only one that speaks. Y'all agree with this? Nobody sent? All right. Well, I'm leaving. Anybody coming with me? Nobody? You want to come? You want no? Nobody? Remember all that junk, you scared to get up and go? I'm just like, well, shake the dust off my feet. I'll be out here. Okay, let me go back. Hold on. Okay. By eve time, the abodes to be completed, by a fence for protection to be surrounded. The heroes to the task put their shoulders, bricks on the foundations were quickly laid. With reeds were the roofings made, of cut down trees was the fencing put up. Anzu, a beam that kills from the chariot brought over, a speaker that words beams at ears abode he set up. By eve time, complete was the encampment. For the night therein, the heroes gathered. Ea, Alalu, and Anzu, the doings considered. All that was done, indeed, was good. Look, Joey said, blink twice if you want to leave with me. Mm-hmm. Ea and Alalu and Anzu, the doings considered. All that was done indeed was good. And it was evening and it was morning, the sixth day. On the seventh day, the heroes in the encampment were assembled. To them, Ea spoke these words: a hazardous journey we have undertaken. From the Biru to the seventh planet, a dangerous way we traverse. At Earth, we with success arrived. Much good we attained. An encampment we established. Let this day be a day of rest, the seventh day hereafter a day of resting always to be. Let this day be a day of rest, the seventh day hereafter a day of resting always to be. Let this place henceforth by the name Eridu be called home in the far away, the meaning thereof will be.
And this is where everything else starts.
Yes. Jeremiah said, and this is where everything else starts. Let a promise be kept. Let a Lalu of Eridu, the commander, be declared. The heroes thus assembled, in unison, agreements shouted. Words of consent Alalu uttered. Then homage to Ea he greatly paid. Let Ea a second name be given. Nudi Mood, Nudem Mood, the artful fashioner, let him be called. Ea. Let a second name be given. Nidimud, the artful fashioner, let him be called. In unison, the heroes' agreement announced, and it was evening, and it was morning, the seventh day. Now, this is the account of how the searching for gold was begun, and how the plans on Nibiru made to Nibiru's salvation did not provide. After the encampment of Eridu was established, and the heroes with food were satiated, Ea, the task of gold from the waters obtaining, started. In the chariots, the firestones were stirred up. Its great cracker was enlivened. That which water sucks from the chariot was extended into the marsh waters it was inserted. Into a vessel of crystals the waters were directed. From the waters the crystals, all that is metal in the vessels extracted. Then from the vessels, that which spits out the waters to the fish pond spat out. Thus were the metals that were in the waters in the vessel collected. Ingenious was Ea's handiwork, an artful fashioner indeed he was. For 6 earth days, marsh waters were sucked in, marsh waters were spat out. In the vessel, metals indeed were collected. The metals on the seventh day by Ea and Alalu were examined. Of many kinds were the metals in the vessel. Iron was there, much copper was there, of gold there was no abundance. In the chariot, another vessel, the artful handiwork of Nidimud. The metals after their kinds were separated, ashore, kind by kind they were carried. For 6 days, thus did the heroes toil. On the seventh day they rested. For 6 days were the crystal vessels filled and emptied. On the seventh day were the metals accounted. There was iron, and there was copper, and other metals too. Of the gold, the smallest pile was accumulated. In the night times, the moon waxed and waned. By the name month did Ea its circuit call. At month's very start, its luminous horns 6 days signified. By its half crown, the seventh day it announced, a day to rest it was. At midway, by the fullness of the moon was distinguished, then it paused to become diminished, right? I learned this from the book of Enoch. So when I got to this part, I was like, I'm familiar with this. They put this part in the book of Enoch, right? Listen. With the sun's course was the moon's circuit appearing, with Earth's circuit it was face revealing. Fascinated by the moon's motions was Ea, its attachment as Kingu to Ki he contemplated. Remember, Ki or Kai is another term for Earth, the planet Earth. Planet Dirt. That's what it sounds. Earth, dirt. Planet Dirt. Y'all watch the Transformers, y'all know this. What they call planet Earth, planet Dirt. Fascinated by the moon's Fascinated by the moon's motions was Ea, its attachments as Kingu to Ki he contemplated. What purpose did the attachment serve? What heavenly sign was it giving? A month did Ea the moon's circuit call. Month to its circuit he gave the name. For 1 month, for 2 months in the chariot were the waters separated. The sun every 6 months to earth another sign gave. Winter and summer did Ea by names call them. And if you actually go to the book of Enoch, it begins talking about the different angels of the different seasons, right? Which I can clearly tell it comes from this story, because as they got out the ship, everybody began to get an assignment. You the commander over this, you in charge of this, you in charge of the waters, anything going on with the waters, everybody report to you. It was like, think if you're military and if you guys are going out on a mission, before the mission is deployed, before you're deployed for your mission, you go over the plan of what you're going to do. So when you get down there, you got a commander, everybody got jobs, okay, and everybody's dispatched to where they're supposed to go so they can complete their mission. And their mission coming here was to extract the gold that was found at the waters of Havilah, right? The Bible tells us this is the place where the gold was found, right? Go back and look in your Bible. A month did Ea the moon's circuit call. Month to its circuit he gave the name. For 1 month, for 2 months in the chariot were the waters separated. The sun every 6 months to earth another season gave. Winter and summer did Ea by names. Hold on. The sun every 6 months to earth another season gave. Winter and summer did Ea by names them call. There was winter and there was summer. By year of earth did Ea the full circuit call. By year's end of the accumulated gold was taken up, much to dispatch to Nibiru there was not. The swamp lands, waters were deficient. Let the chariots to the deeper ocean be moved. So Ea was saying, from its moorings was the chariot untied, back whence it came was shifted. With great care were the crystal vessels stirred up, the salt waters through them passing. Metals by their kinds were separated. Gold among them was sparkling. From the chariot of the happenings, Il to Nibiru word did beam, and knew to hear it was pleased indeed. In its destined circuit, Nibiru to the sun's abode was returning. A closeness to earth on its Shar circuit was Nibiru attaining. With eagerness did Anu about the gold inquire. Is there enough for sending to Nibiru? He was asking. Alas, not enough of the gold from the waters collected. Let another shard pass. Let the quantity be doubled. Ea to Anu counsel. From the ocean's waters, the obtaining of gold continued. In his heart, Ea with apprehension was filling. From the chariots, from the chariot, parts were hauled out. A sky chamber from them was assembled. Abgal, he who knows piloting of the sky chamber to take charge, he appointed. Daily in the sky chamber with Abgal did Ea upward soar, the earth and its secrets to learn. The sky chamber and enclosure was constructed by Alalu's chariot, it was placed. Daily, the crystals in Alalu's chariot did Ea study. What by their beams was discovered to understand. Whence does the gold come? He asked Alalu. Where on earth are Tiamat's golden veins? In the sky chamber with Abgal did Ea upward soar, the earth and its secrets to learn. Over great over great mountains they roamed, in the valleys great rivers they saw. Steppes and forests below were stretched, thousands of leagues was their reach. Vast lands separated by oceans they recorded, with the beam that scales the soils they penetrated. On Nibiru, impatience was growing. Can gold protection provide? Was the outcry increasing? Assemble the gold. On Nibiru's nearing gold you must deliver. So did Anu, Ea command. Repair Alalu's chariot for returning to Nibiru, make it fit. For the shard's completion, make it ready. So was Anu saying. Ea, his father, the king, words was heeding the repairing of Alalu's chariot he was contemplating. As the sky chamber, one eve by the side of the chariot they landed, with Abgal the chariot they entered, a secret deed in the darkness to perform. The weapons of terror, the seven of them, from the chariot they removed. To the sky chamber they took them, inside the sky chamber, them to give hiding. By sunrise, Ea with Abigail in the sky chamber soared to another land was their direction. There, in a secret place, did Ea the weapons hide. In a cave, a place unknown, he stored them. Then to Anzu, Ea words command gave to repair Alalu's chariot, he him directed. For returning to Nibiru to make it fit, by the Shar's completion to make it ready. Anzu in the ways of chariots, greatly skilled to the task his labors set. He made its thrusters hum again, its tablets he carefully considered. The absence of the weapons of terror he soon discovered. With anger, Anzu cried out. Ea of their hiding away gave the explanation. Forsworn is the weapon's use, Ea was saying. Neither in the heavens nor on firm lands shall they ever be harnessed. Without them, no passage through the hammered bracelet is safe, Anzu was saying. Without them, without water thrusters, the danger is endurance surpassing. Alalu of Eridu, the commander, the words of Ea considered, to the words of Anzu, heed he gave. The words by Ea, by the council of Nibiru, are attested. Alalu was saying, but without the chariot's return, Nibiru shall be doomed. Abgal, he who knows piloting, boldly toward the leaders stepped forward. I shall be the pilot, the dangers I shall valiantly face, he was saying. Thus the decision was made. Abgal shall be the pilot, Anzu on earth shall be staying. On Nibiru, the stargazers, the destinies of the celestial gods contemplated an opportune day they were selecting. Into Alalu's chariot, basketfuls of gold were carried. The forepart of the chariot, Abgal entered the commander's seat he occupied. From the chariot of Ea to him, Ea a tablet of destiny gave. It shall be that which shows the way for you. By it, the open pathway you shall find. The chariot's firestones, Abgal stared up. Their hum, like music, was enthralling. The chariot's great cracker he enlivened, the reddish brilliance it was casting. Ea and Alalu, the multitude of heroes, were standing around. Farewell to him they were bidding. Then the chariot, with the roar of heavenward, rose. To the heavens it ascended. To Nibiru, words of the ascent were beamed. On Nibiru, there was much expecting. And that is the end of the third tablet. All right. So it's about to start getting into the juicy stuff with tablet 4. And tablet 5 is where
You got another book?
another book.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was tablet 5 where they start in the 300 GG. That's just fun to say the GG. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Come on, Enki.
All right. Yep. Okay. And so when we get to the 5th tablet, it's going to start giving a little bit of a substance to that 1 or 2 scriptures in Genesis where the sons of God came down and had sex with the human women, right? It's about to get juicy, y'all. It's about to get real juicy. So we're going to pause right here with the for a tablet. Where we at? Hour and 16 minutes. Let's read a few pages of My Big Toe. My Big Toe, My Big Toe. Okay. Okay, so yesterday when we paused, and I ain't gonna take that long. We may not even finish the rest of this because, well, we might. Oh, I think I might. I'm gonna finish the rest of this because it's only a couple pages. Well, it's a few pages. But I think we can be done. If y'all gotta go to work. Go to work. Just pick this back up later. All right. So remember, he was talking, but then he did a short aside, right? Remember, the aside was to explain to you what he had just told you about to give you a little more clarity. So we stopped at the second aside within the aside to explain something to you that he told you within the aside. Okay, so I'm gonna read this. Go to the top of page 132. After the collection of evidential data, non-physical matter reality / physical matter reality PSI effects becomes routine, one generally moves on to determine the culture, news, and physics of non-physical matter reality by careful experimentation and observation of cause and effect. Imagine that you are an alien scientist from another dimension teleported to Earth to, to learn what the Earth is like, what they're doing right now in Lost Book of Enki, right? Imagine that you are an alien scientist from another dimension teleported to Earth to learn what the Earth and its life forms are like. Exploring non physical matter reality is like that, but without the limitation of a needy physical body. And this is where it goes into the second short aside where we paused at. Let's take a short break to define the word PSI. PSI is a familiar term among parapsychologists and others who are engaged in studying and exploring the capabilities of mind. PSI events generally refer to unusual artifacts of consciousness, specifically to paranormal events associated with mental abilities or altered states of consciousness. Hey, don't even leave my TV off. Go pull yourself together this morning. Everything. Do your morning grooming and all that stuff. Don't even touch that game. Don't look at it. PSI events generally refer to unusual artifacts of consciousness, specifically to paranormal events associated with mental abilities or altered states of consciousness. PSI is often used as a synonym for parapsychological, thus, the term PSI phenomena refers to the measurable physical phenomena that are produced by some characteristic or ability of the mind that is presently beyond traditional scientific explanation. For example, telepathic communication, precognition, and remote viewing are a few commonly experienced and researched PSI events. The term PSI energy and PSI forces are often used to imply some unknown theoretical causal mechanism that is assumed to lie behind PSI phenomena. And that was the end of that aside within the aside. So it's going back to the first little aside to finish what he was saying. Because I exhort you at every turn to collect your own experience data, I suppose that I should tell you how to go about accomplishing that task. To this end, in chapter 23 of this book, we will discuss techniques that you can use to reduce the mental noise, gain mastery and control of your mental energy, and begin exploring non physical matter reality and the inner space of consciousness. However, before we get to that, it is imperative that you first discover how your beliefs limit your reality and learn to appreciate the difference between your knowledge and pseudo knowledge. Otherwise, your attempt to explore non physical matter reality or the spirit could end up, hold on. Otherwise, your attempt to explore non physical matter reality could end up exploring nothing more than your own ego. Exploring your own ego might be a productive first step if it leads to a better understanding and thus dissolution of the fear and belief systems that limit your natural potential. But it is not at all the same as exploring non physical matter reality, a reality that exists independently of your belief systems and personal mind. There is a natural and necessary order to any developmental growth. Skipping steps almost always leads to frustration and blocks, not to rapid advancement. You must first deal successfully with your fear and limiting belief systems before you can productively explore non physical matter reality. Conquering all fear is not required, far from it, but some minimum threshold of competence in managing your consciousness is a prerequisite. The required basic competence is usually developed through meditation, courage, and energetic dedication to the discovery of truth. The underlying principles and mechanics of meditation are discussed in chapter 23 of this book. Though there are many ways to meditate successfully, fear can only be overcome by courage and determination. I read that again. Though there are many ways to meditate successfully, fear can only be overcome by courage and determination. I do not have a special weird science that can help you cut corners and find truth in giant leaps of intuition. Discovery and science are all about making steady progress by taking one small tentative step after another, all the while tasting the pudding, checking the evidence, and producing objective, measurable results. There are, as far as I know, no wormholes that let one tunnel through to enlightenment or signposts clearly defining the best route for each individual to take. The choice of path and the effort applied must be the result of your own volition. Think deeply about how the material in this chapter applies to you. Though it may get intellectually repetitive, this discussion of belief, fear, and knowledge represents a crucial step that must be assimilated at a level much deeper than the intellect. It is difficult to overemphasize the subject of fear, knowledge, and belief, as it is easy to speed through as it is easy to speed through it intellectually without digging in too deeply. The concepts themselves are deceivingly simple, and thus repetition quickly becomes tedious. However, their implications for each and every individual are extremely difficult to grasp fully. What fears lurk deeply hidden that push me this way and pull me that way like a small boat on an angry ocean? What beliefs limit my reality? What can I do about them? These are difficult and complex personal questions that many egos are all too eager to sidestep. Typically, those who most need to answer these questions are most likely to zip past without taking much notice. As these folks skim over the surface, they may find this chapter to be as tedious and annoying as a parental lecture. On the other hand, those who have little difficulty in this area will eagerly review the issues once again because they understand the importance, are not discomforted by the process, and do not fear the results. They too may notice the intended repetition, but will use it to improve their mastery rather than suffer through it. Y'all probably couldn't see it. Y'all may have just heard it, but it was perfect example what he was just saying. He said to others who want to just zip right through it, this may seem like a parental lecture, right? You all too eager to sidestep this stuff. Just get to the good stuff, right? If y'all didn't hear my son, he just took a breath. He's like, just call me when he gets here. He left. He was sitting here listening. He was like, he just zoned out on me. Okay. And that was the end of the aside. Everyone understands the terms cultural belief and religious belief, but some may be wondering what is meant by scientific belief and personal belief. Scientific belief is that the larger reality and all truth must be solely defined by and limited to objective, repeatable, on demand, consistent physical matter reality, hard science measurements. That was a mouthful. This is the narrow view of the scientific method cast as an exclusive PMR only dogma, PMR, physical matter reality. Though this belief holds true and is wonderfully productive for a certain subset of reality, it does not hold in a bigger picture that contains consciousness, much as classical mechanics fail in a bigger picture that contains very high velocities, which requires relativistic mechanics, and very small sizes, which require quantum mechanics. I will pause before we finish reading this whole chapter. Personal beliefs and personal belief encompasses all those things you believe about yourself and other people, places, or things, your apparent reality extrapolated beyond your certain knowledge. Personal beliefs, if not correct, are often distorted by hope, fear, guilt, need, desire, misinformation, and misunderstanding. Personal beliefs contain many personalized versions of your cultural beliefs as well. Many are derived from the beliefs of your parents, peers, and associates. Cultural beliefs represents those beliefs that you assume true because everybody around you assumes they are true. Racism, for example, is an expression of a cultural belief. A belief is a universal, objective, physical causality is a cultural. Hold on. A belief in a universal, objective, physical causality is a cultural belief as well as a scientific belief. Beliefs that telepathy, mental or faith healing, psychokinesis, or precognition are all totally impossible are also culturally derived. Religious belief, on the other hand, is a belief in the creed, dogma, and articles of faith of some organized religion. Scientific belief is like religious belief. It is a belief in the creed, physical matter reality, causality rules all. Dogma, only physical matter reality exists. And articles of faith, the subjective contains no fact, only opinion of objective Western science. This discussion about belief trap is relevant to all religious, scientific, personal, cultural, political, economic, and any other category you might conjure up. These categories of belief do not have distinct boundaries and, in many instances, overlap greatly. Some people associate belief primarily with the religion and are unaware of the pervasive and significant role that belief plays outside the typical religious context. Neither I nor my big toe is particularly picking on religious belief. It is the characteristics and properties of belief itself, rather than any particular type of belief, that are being scrutinized in this chapter. And I think I'll pause after these little small 2 paragraphs. Yeah, I'll pause. Sorting knowledge from belief is the function of science, both objective and subjective science. Knowing the difference between knowledge and belief relevant to any particular piece of subjective information is called wisdom. Knowing the difference between knowledge and belief relevant to any particular piece of objective information is to know the facts. Many feel compelled to either believe or disbelieve all information they come in contact with and quickly pass a judgment on everything accordingly, which is exactly what we're trying not to do, especially while we're going through these Sumerian texts. We got to keep it, we got everything out in the open, right? We got to unscramble, unjumble everything, right? Exactly which portions of the Bible were taken from this ancient Sumerian text. If all the portions we can highlight in the Bible, we can put in the Sumerian text, what of the Bible or what of the Torah do we actually have left? Is there anything left? Why is there nothing left? Why? Because it was all taken from this. So we should, you ain't got to scrap it. But let's go back here and see here, right? But we're trying to get to the bottom of everything. Is all of this garbage? Or what is truth? What is error? What is real? What is fiction? Right? But we got to look at everything. We have to be willing to look at everything in order to decipher truth from error. Because if we're missing pieces of information, I ain't saying we got all of it, because we get more information by the day. But if we don't even have the courage to just look at it, there's something wrong with us, because we are in fear that what we believe could possibly be shaken. And what can be shaken should be shaken. Everything should be shaken loose if it's loose, right? But after we shake loose things, shake things that don't fit, reassess, readjust based on the more complete information we have, then we need to make sure the foundation is sure. Is it still shaky? What's loose? Well, check over here. Oh, we forgot to look at something, y'all. Hold on. Right? This could be the cornerstone, you know, to stop the building from shaking. Right? I'm just saying. If you're not even at least willing to look at the information, just pass judgment on everything, maybe you should just eat this steak and go back into the matrix. Right? I want to eat this steak and I don't even remember we had this conversation. I don't want to remember nothing. Maybe you should go back into the matrix, go back to sleep. Many feel compelled to either believe or disbelieve all information they have come in contact with and quickly pass a judgment on everything accordingly. Such a process leaves little room and little time for actual knowledge and shows no particular interest in truth. For these individuals, pseudo knowledge is good enough, especially if it also happens to reduce anxiety and be widely accepted. This approach to information is unfortunate and produces a tendency to jump to conclusions based on erroneous, feel good assumptions. And this is where we will pause today. Let that sink down deep in your shanana. All right, y'all. Okay, so okay. That was only 2 pages. But I think that was good enough for today. It all lines up with what we're doing anyway. So we're moving through everything at the pace that we should be moving. All right, beautiful people. It is, oh shoot. I'm sorry. It's my, that work? Okay, I'm sorry. My little plug-in for my mouse, it looks bent. Okay. It is Tuesday, February the 1st, 2022, day number 19 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. And on the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1037. Today we read tablet 3 of the lost book of Enki. And then we read a little bit more of chapter 19 of My Big Toe. We read pages 132 to page 134. All right, and we'll just pick all this back up tomorrow with tablet 4. And have y'all this movie is stupid. We watched this movie last night. It's called Don't Look Up. Y'all seen that? It's dumb. And it really actually put me in the mind of what we're reading. Not necessarily, but what was happening, right? So they got this comet. It's not really. It's about a comet that was spotted out in the constellation. They saw this comet that was heading directly towards Earth, right? So they ran a test and they got second opinions and third opinions. We've came up with these calculations, and it's due to hit the Earth in 6 months and 14 days, right? So all the big science heads, they said, hey, go check this. We ain't even gonna tell you, but this is what we saw here. You do the calculations on what you have, and you tell us what the numbers are. Everybody was coming up with, oh yeah, it's due to hit Earth in 6 months, 14 days, right? And so they said, well, what type of damage will this cause? They said extinction level damage, right? And so these scientist kids, and one big scientist guy that was kind of ahead of everything, he had all kinds of um problems going on with him with anxiety. He was taking all types of medicines, right? So, but what happens is, make a long story short, I don't even know if y'all want to go watch it, but something that kind of stuck out to me in it, where it was talking about how they're trying to alert the world that this extinction level event is coming, but everybody's so busy in their cell phone doing selfies. They've got social media plastered all through it and just different things, like clearly what we see today. And they said the world is about to be extinct, and everybody in there is just like, meh, it's like, okay, and what you want us to do? We want on about life. Like, they don't believe it. It's like they're really lukewarm toward the idea. And you got the scientists over here freaking out. And so they put them on the show. And I didn't know Tyler Perry was in it. It was stupid. The movie, it's one of them movies. Yeah, Tyler Perry was in it. It's one of the movies where it's like they're trying to get across something serious, but they doing it in a humorous manner. And they just stupid. Everybody's like not really paying attention until the president says something about it. The president even pushed them off, right? They came up there, the president, okay, we'll bring them up. Like, she half wanted to see him in the first place anyway. Yes, it's a female president, right? So she half wanted to see him. So they got out there and then made them sit outside the office for like 9 hours while they were doing whatever they was about to do. But the president was caught up in a scandal, showing all her private parts to an ex-boyfriend and all that stuff. But anyway, they had made the breaking news, and midterms was coming up. So she was doing everything she can to focus on the midterms, not really caring about, extinction level event. I mean, how likely is this thing to hit? They said it's 100%. Oh, we can't tell people 100%. Okay, 98.78% it's likely to hit Earth. Right, we're on a like head-on collision course. Well, yeah. What about 70%? The girl's like, 70% is not even close. The movie is stupid, right? We were sitting there laughing, but I was paying. I was like, we are really like that. I mean, it's sad. It was funny at the same time, because it's like, yeah, I don't care, whatever. And so they get on TV trying to warn the world, and they flipping out. And what they do, they make memes out of them flipping out. Like, it was hilarious. I was like, oh my gosh, they like nailed this all the way through. Then when the president got wind that she possibly may not be reelected, then she was like, okay, we need something serious so I can get reelected. I need to seem like the hero, something that's going to overshadow all these indiscretions that I've been having during my presidency, and before I took office and stuff. Oh, the comet. Go find them. Go find them scientists. Bring them up here. Okay. And so they set up here. Okay, this is how we're going to present it. We need a hero. The White House always needs a hero, right? He said, well, you don't really need to send anybody up here with these bombs to explode these comets. All this can be done remotely. Yeah, well, we know that, but the White House always needs a hero, right? So they plan out this story on how they're going to present it to the entire world. And it shows you how the world and social media is manipulated by the powers that be in order to push them in ways of thinking that they want them to. If something is really horrible, they want you to perceive it in a certain way that kind of to keep down the chaos and stuff, even up to the very day you're gonna die. That's what they're gonna do. The movie was hilarious, but all in all, the earth was destroyed. Y'all gotta go watch. I know this is complete spoiler. But the whole point of me even telling y'all about this, which reminded me about something here, is almost like a reverse engineering of what was happening, right? So you got like this guy in there who reminds me of Bill Gates. They call him somebody else. He was a guy of a like a tech. I'm sorry, a cell phone technology company, right? How are you letting this guy? He's a freaking cell phone guru. You're letting him make national life-changing world decisions. What kind of credit? Oh, well, he gives a lot of money to here, so they give him a little bit say. So walks in on the White House meetings, looked at the president. Hey, I need to talk to you. I'm like, Regin, like no respect whatsoever, just walking there like you own the place, like you the president. Hey, while not even looking up for real, looking at his cell phone. Hey, president, I need to talk to you. Come here. And everybody look like turns around and walked out. And he like, I said, come here. And the president house, I'm like, what kind of crap is this? Right. So it reminded me of Bill Gates and how they let him do all this stuff. Y'all know what I'm talking about with the 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 body elixirs that they be creating for viruses and all this stuff that go on. It's like they're trying to tell you this story without telling you this story, right? And so then yelled at her, right? Yo, crazy movie. Look, and she jumped. Like, oh. So what was hilarious, they was like, this administration is the current administration was terrible, absolutely terrible, right? Because she didn't want to lose the presidency, she finally decided to give heed to what was going on, like extinction level. Oh, this is nothing, whatever. Everybody got to die someday, right? It was like the earth will be no more. And so the cell phone guru guy, he pretty much, I got this technology, and we can just leave Earth, right? So I started thinking about the people making bunkers or trying to go down in the ground or trying to get out of here and go to Mars and stuff. Like all of this stuff is lumped in this one movie. It's really dumb, but it was interesting, right? And so me and my husband was sitting there laughing the whole way through the movie, looking at all this stuff, just pointing out different things. And so they was like, oh, well, we got technology. What we're going to do, when the president actually finally came on and said, yeah, this is an extinction level event, it like showed China and Russia and everybody, the whole world. You know how they do news clippings like they did like with 9/11, and everybody like joining together. We are no longer enemies, but we have another common enemy where humanity needs to band together and fight against this enemy that's coming to destroy humankind, our human race, right? So it's that type of thing going on. We got Russia and China. We all gonna go. We're gonna send these rockets up here, and we are going to blow this comet to smithereens, right? Everybody, they sending all these rockets and stuff to blow it up, right? And at this point, they were 5 months. They were okay. So when they told the president, they had like 6 months and 14 days. President said, let's just sit and assess. Sit and assess. So they tricked off a whole 30 days, right? And so when the president realized she was about to lose the midterms and possibly be booted out of office, bring them comment people back in here. What was they saying? So by this time, they already only had like 5 months left. So they went out there. The whole world is standing out there. They got everything. They got America's hero and stuff. They really didn't have to sacrifice his life because everything can be done remotely. But the White House needs a hero, right? He's a part of the story that's being played to help with the camaraderie of humankind going across the world. So they showing everybody sitting in front of the TV. It was like watching Apollo, right? Everybody, ain't no traffic in the street. Everybody's glued to the tube, watching the rockets go to destroy and annihilate this common enemy we all have so we can live, right? So launch, rockets are taking off. Everybody's excited, watching news people out there, they're videotaping all of this, and all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, did one of them rockets just turn around and it's coming back to Earth? No, maybe a malfunction. And all of a sudden, instead of the rocket shooting out, all of the rockets are turning back in, coming back to. They say, oh no, they all coming back. What is going on? Here go your cell phone guy. Hey, we might not want to destroy this comet because it seems like that comet is worth like these trillions of dollars because it had resources that the earth could harness, right? And when it got to that part, it made me immediately think about this and how Nibiru wanted to harness the gold from Earth, right? From Tiamat's golden veins. Let's go harness the gold from Earth. Now, what's a a meteor coming to destroy Earth, and the astronauts or the people on Earth want to go and extract the gold from this comet. So instead of destroying it, they decided to. He had these whole like astronaut type machines and stuff. They was gonna send out into space. And they were going to attach to this comet while in flight, and it was going to just break it apart. Instead of this one huge comet coming to destroy Earth, they figured his cell phone and technology and stuff was designed so good that instead of one big comet, if we break it up, now instead of one huge comet that'll give an extinction level event, we can break it up into bunches of many pieces, and we can then begin to extract the resources from the rock. It sounded logical. So they went ahead and they said, okay, so you got the real scientists come in. Has this been peer reviewed? Who else has looked at this? Who has checked out your work? He was like, who? You know who I am. Don't nobody need to check my work. All my look, and this what really made me think about Bill Gates. He was like, all my technology and all my algorithms with my software and stuff tells me everything I need to know about your life, everything that you've done through social media, this, what you're gonna do, how you do it, what you like. We can suggest things that you will like. He said, I even know when you're gonna die. He said, it's really sad. You're gonna die alone. Because what had happened was that really started getting to him. Because at this point, the scientist guy, he was living high on the hog. He had come from this family, wife, or a couple kids. They were older kids, but at home, because he was having these panic attacks and stuff, and he had to be medicated just to keep himself under control and just to operate daily. When he got out there and he began to get a little bit of fame, began to breathe, and he didn't feel so closed in. He didn't feel like he had to quiet his voice. He could speak. They labeled him the sexiest scientist of the year. And of course, it was women coming after him, and one particular woman caught his fancy, right? And he began sleeping with her, married and everything. And she was like, oh, well. And so he began to even change up his suits. He didn't look frumpy no more. He looked nice and tight, like you got tailor-made suits. Oh, you got a little bit of money now. Oh, you don't forget about the family back home, right? Wife come in, caught him cheating. Sitting in this room, he come back with the news telecast and all that stuff. Oh, well, before I leave, let me just make sure you know how to take care of my husband. And she bought all, I'm like, she bought all his medicines. He takes this and he takes the Xanax and he take this and here goes some Viagra, this and this. And he was like, well, honey, I don't need this stuff, not so much, not since I've been out here, right? So since he was able to get away from his atmosphere, he realized he didn't have all those stress and everything. Therefore, he didn't need the medicine. It was so many different little nuggets within this stupid movie. It was amazing to me. So he was like, well, I really haven't had to take the medicine. I'm the sexiest scientist alive, right? So he was living off of that. But anyway, so the guy said, well, according to my algorithms and all those things, he said, your death, we can even predict your death with a certainty, right? He said, and it's not pretty. It's actually quite sad. You're gonna die alone. And that caught his attention because his wife had just left him because she found him cheating. And he was like gonna die alone. And he began to come to his senses instead of fall into the plan of the government's plan or whatever, because he was like, listen, let's warn the world. We can make a preemptive strike. We got time and we can take care of this. But then it was like, oh, you know what? This comet is going to provide jobs to everybody on the earth. We're going to extract the gold resources. The entire world will become wealthy, right? So now everybody is diverted and looking at wealth. And I was like, oh, yeah. And now everybody, instead of being afraid of the comet, oh, my God, it's the end of the world as we know it. And everybody going to die. So they making commercials. The comet is going to provide jobs and future for our children. You don't know how they do those dumb commercials, right? So they started doing all. So I was like, would you look at this crap here? It was dumb, but it was a good movie though, right? Look, so now the whole world's aspect and their perception of what is coming to kill them. Now they're looking at, oh, well, we can just extract all the resources and make the earth better. And like I said, it sounded logical until they started asking questions. Well, what about this? Okay, let's just say your idea works. We don't destroy it. It can actually help the earth with its resources and stuff, right? Right? We always stealing resources from somebody. Say this is true. Say we can do this. Has your equipment been tested? What about the heat, and is it going to melt? All these different things. Being a peer, we don't need what we need peer reviews for. That's for the scientific community. I am a legend in my day and my time. He talks like this, like he barely raising his voice, like, oh, I'm in charge of everything. You don't need to test my stuff because I was born a genius. Everything is going to work. You don't need to trust anybody else but me, right? President president was just fell into, okay, well, you said it's gonna work. Okay, well, you got this. That seemed to work. That seemed to work. But I'm like, my G, he's not a freaking astronaut. He doesn't work on satellites and stuff like that. But anyway, so they got the whole military command in there. And now time has really dwindled down. Messing around him, making bigger and more equipment to send out here. All this time, they still could have blown up this this crater, right? They developing this equipment, still didn't really peer test it and all that stuff. Okay, launch day, no peer reviews, nobody second testing and stuff, and everybody is trusting in these idiots to save the earth, right? Not knowing, just in case something go off, we gonna leave the earth. So before they actually launch, no, the day of the launch, they were sitting there, everybody in there, and the president is sitting beside this Bill Gates looking dude, right? That's got his technology. This is going to work with share the resources all the way around the world, and this is going to be lovely, earth, beautiful place everywhere, right? And so the president asked him, she said, well, I heard your computer software, all this, it does these algorithms where you can predict and precisely predict even people's days of death. She said, when am I going to die? How much? No, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. That's just something you shouldn't know ahead of time. I don't want to know. I want to know. Tell me. I want to know. How am I going to die? Right? And so he said, he just paused for a second. He said, and I forgot the name of the thing. Hold on. Let me look it up real quick. So I want to make sure I see it right. Hold on. Hold on. Because he told her how she was going to die. Hold on. Let me get the name of this thing. It was funny. Okay. Hold on. And it was Meryl Streep that played the president. Hold on. What was the name of this thing? Meryl Streep. Okay, that's what it's called. He said, well, yeah, I know how you're gonna die. He said, hold on. Uh-oh, did I kill? Oh, okay, there y'all go. He said, yeah, we know how you're gonna die. And she was like, he said, you're gonna die by a bronto rock. He said, but we don't know what that means. And I just started hollering, laughing, and she just looked like, He said, yeah, you're gonna die by a bronto rock, but we don't know what that means. So it continues to go on, and they launch his equipment out here to go extract, to first of all break apart the rocket, the comet, and begin extracting the resources once it's broken and it's no longer a human extinction extinction level event comet, right? So they launch everything, and during launch they lost like 6 right at the takeoff. They were like, they blew up before they even launched off the ground. And everybody was looking like, and everything was filmed all over the world. And everybody looking like, what? But before that happened, Russia pulled out, China pulled out, a couple other places had pulled out because this dude was so big headed and thought he was the junk, right? He's like, I run everything. Everything is going under my command. I control everything. And Russia was like, this guy's a freaking idiot. We're going to try to stop the comet ourselves. So they pulled out of the pack and they tried to stop the comet, but all their devices failed as well. So it's like, well, they failed. Now we are the only one left, and they literally down to like the day of. You didn't tricked off all the time we had to possibly do something. Now you're the only thing left. It has to work. Send them up. You lose something right at the offset. They just explode. You got more going up. They're exploding in the air. And it was like, we plan for a margin of error. We have enough. There's no problem. He's still talking calm. Everybody freaking out. Hey, well, how many can we lose? Well, how many do we need? Well, we need at least, I think it was at least 24 they needed. And it was down to the very last few that they could lose. So you finally got some up there. They had the cameras, you could see it. They was attaching to the comet, and they latched on, and they showed a simulation of what would happen, right? So it seemed to be going, okay, yes, we still got hope. We're going to be able to do this thing. But as they began to lock in, one of the other ones didn't latch on real good, and it came and it knocked a few others offline. That's when they really began to panic. And they said, well, how many more can we lose? He said, well, we need like 24, And so they was literally at that number, like, you cannot lose any more of what we have, or this is not going to end up well at all. So it began extracting, and some of them began to work, and they began to do its thing, but something happened. It didn't crack apart the meteor. So now it's like, it's not breaking. And then that's when the guy that's talking all, Lola, everything is okay. No worry. We've calculated margins of error. That's why we had extra ones, right? And so then when it got to that, he took his little headphone off his ear. He's like, he just kind of got quiet and looked around. Okay, give me a second. Let me just go relieve myself, and I'll be back in a few minutes. So he said, I gotta go to the bathroom. Let me think about this. This is cool. We've calculated this. I'll be right back. So he got up to go to the bathroom. The president looking like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom too. It's a good time to take a bathroom break. I'm gonna just go ahead and go. Right. And so people around there, okay. And her son sitting there, she's coming back. Oh, everybody take a bathroom break, get a snack or something. We're gonna finish this up. But they didn't come back. And his son's sitting there. Then the people's like, man, bump this. I got a family to get to. I'm going home. So the whole military command in there watching. Everybody started abandoning their station, going home. And then somebody said something. Now the whole world is in an uproar. It is crazy. And then they seen a comet, like you could literally see the comet from your car. Everybody getting out their car, looking. It's right there. Can you see it? And it was like, they called the president. The president actually called the scientist guy, and she called him from the airplane. She was on the airplane with the smooth talking Bill Gates dude on the airplane with her. These jokers is leaving Earth. Called the scientist guy. Hey, look, things didn't quite work out. You can come, and we got one more seat. But he had a wife, had a couple kids, and a couple of friends and stuff, and they was all like together. He was like, no, I can't. I'm just gonna stay here with them. We just gonna tough this thing out. Well, and he said, well, you and your son, I forgot what her son's name was. I think it was like Sean or something like that. I forget. He said, well, you and Sean, the best of luck to you. And she's like, Sean. And she thought about her son, because she left out of there because she knew it was time to go. Everything had went to hell in a handbasket. The earth is gonna be no more, but we're gonna at least get out of here and get to our bunker, right? Left out of here. Don't look up. Go watch it.
Oh.
So, so it's showing, here come the comet, and it's beginning to hit different places on the earth, and it's just like literally extinction level event. It literally took the earth. It completely annihilated the earth, right? So here you come. You got the cell phone guy. He had created this equipment, this sleeping chamber, and yeah, she left her kid behind. Like, she didn't care about nothing but herself. So they got out of there. They got out of there in time. Dude had created like a chamber, a sleep chamber and everything. Like some of these sci-fi movies you watch, they'll put you in this state of sleep, to preserve your body while your ship is traveling through time or space or whatever. And it'll put you in this I forget what it's called, cryo sleep or something like that. But some thousand years later, when calculated to wake you up. So here we go. 23, I think it's 23 or 25,000 years later, the earth has been like not repopulated, but it's nice and clear. It's pretty. The vegetation is lush. The rocket ship come back to earth when it lands, because it was programmed to come back 25,000 years later based on their scientific data. And when Earth's atmosphere would be done with the radiation, it began repopulating itself via the vegetation, waters, and all that stuff. So 25,000 years later, the ship that they created comes down, lands on Earth, and automatically the machines and everything begin to do its thing, drain the cryo, whatever it is, out of the human bodies and wake them up from their cryo sleep. Everybody is naked, right? Because you've been been preserved in this liquid, kind of like on the Matrix when they're in this egg. It's kind of like that thing, but they're all standing up. So all this stuff, it drains out of there, filters out of there, and they all wake up. The latch is open, and they all naked walking out of their little eggs and stuff, and they leaving out and they walking out. So you got, it's like a whole Adam and Eve scene, right? It's like a nudist camp. Everybody waking out, breathing the fresh air, and and here go the scientist guy. He didn't want to cryo sleep, but he took his cell phone and stuff with him. Okay, so and still doing the same stupid voice. Okay, so it's about. Yeah. And so they're looking at the beautiful animals and stuff. And here go the president, which is Meryl Streep. She's still naked. They're showing everybody from behind, right? And so she's like, oh, that's so pretty. It's beautiful looking animal. It looked like this beautiful, brightly colored ostrich. And she went over there. It's like she was enthralled by it. She goes over there and tries to pet it. This creature bites her head and literally kills her. And everybody's like, oh, what is that? He's like, the guy looked around. He said, that would be a Bronto rock. So remember, you got to think about when she asked, okay, I heard you can, your algorithms can predict precisely even to when people are going to die and how they're going to die. He said, yeah. He says you get killed by, he said you get eaten by a Bronto rock. But we don't know what that means. It was friggin' hilarious. Y'all got to go watch it. Look, don't blame me when you start watching. Like, man, this movie is so stupid. I'm telling you, it's stupid. It's like serious, funny, but stupid. But it's dropping little nuggets in there for those who are aware of what's going on and how they mix all this mash up and just kind of give it to you. And they make light of things that's going on in the world that really should be taken seriously. So, but with that was my little aside for the day. Really had nothing to do with anything except for how it seemed that they kind of reverse engineer what we kind of read in the Lost Book of Enki, where they're going to extract the gold from this comet to where here they came to Earth to extract the gold from here. It's like this reverse psychology type thing going on, but it's dumb. Somebody knows something and they playing on everybody's ignorance. But anyway, beautiful people, that's it for today. Let's go ahead and do this blessing. I think I already said it, right? I think I did. Let me do it again. I didn't talk so much. I forgot. It is Tuesday, February the 1st, 2022. Day number 19 of year 4, reading through the books of the law and the prophets. Another 4-year consecutive day count, day 1037. We read tablet 3 of the Lost Book of Enki, and we read a couple more pages of My Big Toe in chapter 19, pages 132 through 134. We'll pick it up tomorrow. With that being said, Bella is upstairs. She got my stuff, and it's going to be hard to call her. Hold on. So let's go ahead and go to the blessing. Angela, shalom, shalom. It was a good aside. Jen, shalom. Good morning. Hold on, my thing up. All right, y'all. So let's do this blessing. Found in Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, oh, you're here. Come on.
I got you.
Come on, girl. Yeah, she scared the crap out of me.
Lips.
Let me see. Oh my gosh, yes, you need some Carmex. You're hot down. Hold on. Y'all see how she just screamed? She be taking this blessing seriously. Hold on, y'all. She came back right in time. I ain't call it just she know it. Like she felt it down in her shana now. It was time to come on down.
I got you.
Yeah, you got me.
Mom, me and you can make a birthday cake for Nani.
Yeah, we need to take one over there. We said we was gonna take it. We'll make it today. Take it to Nani today. Okay. All right, y'all. She watching my foolishness. She felt it deep down in her shana. She really did. Okay.
Mom, what's right here?
Oh, girl, what is you doing?
What's right there?
Those are videos that I downloaded. Hold on. Right here. Okay. You're making a face. Okay.
And Dad just do this like this.
All right. Look. The blessing. Found in Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto Aaron and unto his son, saying, on this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, Yahuwah will kneel before us, presenting gifts, and will guard us with the hedge of protection. Yahuwah will illuminate the wholeness of his being towards us, bringing order, and he will provide us with love, sustenance, and friendship. Yahuwah will lift up the wholeness of his being and look upon us, and he will set in place all we need to be whole and complete. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, beautiful people. You got us all around your face, girl. Rub it in. It's all around here.
Mom, we didn't do this.
She scared me too. She said, Mom.
Mom.
Okay, y'all. Let's go. All right. Love y'all. See y'all back here tomorrow morning, bright and early. 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Mom. Fuel line just got here.
No, Food Line did not come here. That was Jeremiah's driving instructor. Okay.
Where is all the snow?
The snow is melting, girl. The snow is melting. All right, y'all. That's it. We out of here. Shalom.
Hey, Mom,
See y'all tomorrow.
Mommy,
Bright and early, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace. Okay, Joy, I'm gonna look.
Mom,
Yes, girl.
you can make me a
Jolie.
smoothie. Mom, you can make me a smoothie.
Yes, I can make you a smoothie. Bye, Mom. All right, y'all. Nani said bye, Bella.
Please.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, Nani. That's enough.
Girl, move it right here.
No.
Oh, see? There you go. In this stream. Yeah. It needs my face ID now. Go ahead.
It still didn't end it.
All right, y'all. I'm about to end for real.
You know, mommy, people in here.
Yes, people are in there.